dudes, welcome back to another season of MCRC, except this time we're not reviewing, except for some episodes, but for the most part we're doing a different format, and it is under the ownership of Volcan. So that's why now we're called Volcan Presents MCRC. So today we're going to be discussing new glam bands, and so the first question we're going to be discussing is why glam metal will never make a comeback. And I honestly think it's, of course, a number of reasons. And the first one, in my opinion, would have to be the internet. It makes it everything too accessible. And, this is kind of like a genre that is not really for everyone. And not everyone should be involved in it. And then the internet kind of unifies everything, and it makes it everything too accessible. And this is kind of like a genre that is not really for everyone, and not everyone should be involved in it. And then the internet kind of unifies everything, and it kind of makes it harder to have individuality. The other thing is the feminism thing. There's too much of that going on, and it's the same reason why it really stopped going on in the 90s, and it just kept getting worse and worse as the years went on. Glam metal is just the exact opposite of feminism, and nowadays they're kind of taking away male identity, so it's getting harder for men to kind of have their own corner to go to, which was glam metal. It's their saving grace, where they could really be themselves, and that's kind of taken away now. And that's how internet goes into that, because internet is kind of getting in your business. And this is something that a lot of rock stars have mentioned. I mean, it's even hard for them to go around touring because, you got internet, you got phones, and people are following you and they know where you are. It is very hard to be a person. And another thing for the glam metal thing is that there's a lot of hate on California nowadays, and everyone thinks they can go somewhere else and be a rock star. I'm going to tell you this, and this is the only time, actually it's not going to be the only fucking time I tell you. I'm going to tell you it a lot. And I'm going to tell you over and over until you get it through your thick skulls, is that you're never going to make it anywhere else if you're not going to do it in California. You're not important if you're not in California. Why do no one cares about Winger? They decide to stay. Because all the metal greats, they talk about how, for example, Stephen Pearcy even mentioned it in his documentary, that before anywhere you have to perform at the Whiskey, and that's how you really make a big name for yourself. And Vince Neil has mentioned it, all the metal greats have mentioned it. It is very important to you as a metal band to play at the Whiskey and to be in California. Where else are you going to be? Who else likes metal as much as California? So we're going to move on to the next topic before I get crazy onto a tangent. And we're going to talk about what the recipe is for the fail. It is important to our founding fathers. We came from glam rock and hard rock. Very loud genres here. And another thing is,
you have it here too.
Another thing is the money thing. You see, that's also another reason why they stopped kind of showcasing it in the 90s. It's a lot of effort and money to put into glam metal. We have advertising, you have the makeup, you have the clothes. These are very elaborate clothes. You all know what they look like, and it's just a lot. And then we put a lot into our fans. We put a lot into just, that's why everyone's just taking the cheap route now, and that's why everything is shit, and that's why people aren't even using recording studios. And I'm definitely going to talk about that in a couple of questions. The next question is, looks count, but they're not everything, and I'm going to elaborate on that and tell you why looks do count to a degree, definitely. I know, so close. Yeah. And and of course they do. I mean, it even matters in every genre. When you look at a band, you're gonna know what kind of music they're playing and what they really stand for. We are still human. We have eyes, even if you're blind. You have to have more substance than that, you know? And that's kind of what I mean. It's not, looks isn't not everything, and that's why people kind of judge our genre just because we want to look good, but that's not the only thing that's important in this genre, and people don't really understand that. The next question is, why is using a professional recording studio important? And this is what I want to talk about with the money thing, because it is important. First of all, how are you supposed to get that sound? How are you supposed to get the backing tracks? How are you supposed to get that bass out? How are you supposed to get that drumming? I mean, first of all, you need the space to hear all those beautiful instruments. How are you supposed to be able to hear that when your space is small and you're using crap technology? It's not good. I don't care how fucking much you say it's HD. I don't see HD. It looks just as good as my VHS's. And it doesn't sound as good either. Whenever I watch a VHS from back then, I hear better sound quality. The sound quality on those smart crap doesn't sound very good. It's not very dynamic, and it honestly is very irritating on the ears. It's not very good, and whenever I hear people, I know when you're recording from a phone because it sounds horrible, and it's very flat, and the same thing with when you film on a phone, very flat. You need it to be 3D, or else the human eye is going to get bored. And that is why it's important to be in a recording studio. And honestly, it really is team building. It's important as a band to really have that team building, work ethic. It's really important to be around each other, be able to, and it's like going. So then, moving on from that, why is having a manager so important? I think having a manager is very important because when you're a band, you can't focus on all that technical stuff. Managers, they really help further your band out on the map and really get you guys recognized. They deal with your fans on a more professional level. I mean, you're artists. You still have to worry more about your art. You can't, always think about the stuff you're going to wear yourself out thin. So it's definitely important to get someone to. We're going to talk about, the next one we're going to talk about is manager versus band leader. There's a huge difference between the manager and the band leader, because like I said, the band has to focus on the band. And that's what the band leader has to do. They have to focus on the importance of the band and make sure the band is still staying in line and everyone's still on the same page and is looking toward the same goals, essentially. Of course, there's more to it of being a band leader. I don't know much about it because I've never been in a band, but I do know that much, that it's all into making sure the band is sticking together and meeting the same ends and just they're kind of like the parent for the band almost. They're kind of like in that position. They really look out for the band, and a manager job is very hard and it's very difficult, and sometimes you just have to get your hands dirty. Maybe that's why no one wants to do it so much anymore. Because no one wants to get their hands dirty and no one gives a shit about. So, for the last one, I'm going to talk about 5 steps it takes to be the ultimate and a very successful glam band like you've seen in the past. And this is what you need, and this is probably what no one is ever going to achieve, so don't look for it. The first step is the look. You have to wear some sort of chain, at least. Not 2000s chain either. I'm tired of everyone trying to do 2000s answers for everything. I'm tired of everyone's cheap ass going to the 2000s for everything. That is not how you solve anything. Let's forget that decade and move on from it, please. But yeah, just learn how to even sew some of your clothes together. It doesn't take much. Even start cutting it up and ripping it apart. Think outside the box. You gotta be creative when it comes to, the look to get it down. And moving on from the look, you gotta have that sense of brotherhood. This genre is all boobs, okay? Or ass or a badge, okay? Like, you can't get distracted by these things. You have to stick together. No girl is that great, trust. Okay? Listen to that. And the next thing is you have to be fearless. You can't be afraid. You definitely have to have, like, there is a huge possibility that you might not make it. But you can't care. You have to be fearless. You have to go for what you want. And you have to know that you are going to be the best. And you're going to be better than everybody. And you have to have that confidence. Being in the band, you really need that confidence and you not being afraid and you wanting to achieve and make this band work no matter what. People really respect that. And next to that, you really have to have the passion, and that's the next step to having a successful band, is that that passion needs to be there. You can't give a shit about the money. I'm telling you, you caring about money is a huge hindrance for having any successful band. Money is not important. It is not an item, Like, you can't really care about that shit. You just have to go and get what you want. And that there is what you need is passion. People lack passion nowadays, and you gotta go find your passion. You gotta know that is exactly what you want. You want that band. You take that, and you just go and run for it, and you don't give a shit, okay? We don't have to be straight. It's better that you're not. Makes you smarter to be gay. But it's important to have groupies because you know what? They kind of, groupies, they're still a fan, but they're someone who really gives you your confidence and puts you on that pedestal. And, being a rock star is like being a god, Like, you're on a higher level, above everybody else. You are more important than everybody else. And you're just kind of more perfect and you expect more, and that's kind of what it is to be a rock star. And you really need those groupies in place for you to be put on that pedestal, like I said, and to, exude that power and have that for rock stars. Rock stars really need to feel important. They're already going to have a bunch of people attacking them and coming after them for being great and for being attractive. People will see that as a threat, and they always will. And you really need someone there to support you and help you through that. And that's what's really important here. And that's kind of just all I'm going to say about it. But these are all important facts and ways for you to have a great glam band. And I really hope that everyone will follow this structure and have a successful glam band. I don't believe in anyone coming out, but I really hope someone does.